So you bought yourself an adventure bike, or maybe an enduro or a touring bike or whatever the case may be, and you're thinking about trying this moto-camping thing out that you've watched a few videos on and it looks like a lot of fun. Well, today we're going to talk about moto-camping gear. So we're not going to talk about your riding gear. We're not going to talk about the clothes you might choose to bring with you. We're not going to talk about the food you might bring with you. We're just going to talk about the camping gear itself. When you're moto-camping, you have a few things to consider, and that's weight on your bike, bulk on your bike, how you're going to pack all this stuff on your bike, the climate, where you're going, on-road versus off-road. It goes on and on. There's all kinds of things to consider, but today we're going to talk about that, and hopefully it'll help you out a little bit, help you make the right decisions, and help you have a great trip. I'm Tommy Lee. This is Northern ADD and Touring. Thanks for joining me today. As you see behind me, I've got a big pile of gear, and I just kind of did this for exaggeration purposes. Well, I've got a big 2-room 14 by 14 cabin tent with a screen porch. This is an amazing tent. It's a fantastic tent. Does a great job. It's very comfortable, lots of room. Sleep about 6 people. It sure ain't for moto camping. So you know what? It's going to go right over here into the don't need pile. Wow, we've got a screen house. This thing's great. You can put your picnic table in the middle of it. Here you can have all your meals bug-free. It ain't for moto camping. We're going to get rid of that guy right away too. Okay, so what you want is a compact tent. So this is my pick. It's a two-person 7x7 dome tent by Ozark Trail. This is a cheap tent. And if you're a gearhead, you're probably going to have that little expensive tent, whatever. This is a $40 or $50 tent. Maybe it's $60 now with inflation. I don't know. But it's compact. It's really easy to pack on your bike. It also allows you a little bit of room inside your tent. You can take off your riding gear. You can have your clothes bag beside you and a few things. Okay, so that's a very suitable tent. If you're a purist, maybe you want one of these little one-person mummy tents that has just enough room for you if you don't stretch your arms out too far to the sides, okay? Whatever you like. But that's a suitable one. We're going to put that over here in the keep pile, along with the tent. And maybe you don't even need a tent. Maybe you're a tarp camper kind of person. You string a line in your tarp and you sleep under there. That's up to you. Let's have a look at sleeping bags. Just for illustration purposes, I've got 3 of them out here. This one is a cold weather queen size sleeping bag. You know what? This is a fantastic bag. But as you can see, it's not very heavy, but it's pretty bulky. It's not really something you want to pack on a bike. So it's going to come over here. It's maybe a little bulky, and it's down to about 4 Celsius or 39 Fahrenheit. Anyway, depends on the time of year and where you're going exactly. You probably don't need a colder weather bag to save a little bit of space and bulk. We're going to opt to not take this one. I've said it before in other videos, it's important to start with what you have. If you've got a tent and you've got a sleeping bag already, start with those, and if they're a real problem, then go with something else the next time. But don't spend the money on anything fancy unless that's your prerogative. This is the wrong bag for this sleeping bag. This guy's fantastic. It's a warm weather bag. It's very compact and light. It sure does the trick. I'll throw it back in this little drawstring bag and we'll put it over here because that's the sleeping bag we're going to choose today. If you are a middle-aged fella like myself, you might want a little more comfort, okay? I have tried sleeping pads. Some of them are self-inflating. Some of them are just foam. I don't find them very comfortable. I need a little bit more, a little something extra. So I opt to go with an inflatable mattress. This thing's great. It's got a little bit of a built-in pillow on the one end. It's fairly compact. It's got a little bit of weight to it, no doubt. It's not the lightest one out there, but it does a pretty good job and it's never let me down. So we're going to bring that over there. Along with that inflatable mattress is this tiny inflatable pillow. Since that's virtually weightless and pretty small, I don't have an issue bringing that. When you have an inflatable mattress and a pillow, you need something to pump it up with. Well, you don't. You can do it by hand, by mouth, if you want. But if you're going out for a 2-week trip, you maybe don't want to do that every night. So you can opt for either a battery-powered, this one's called a Sidewinder. It takes D cells. If your batteries run out after a few nights or whatever, then it's useless. It's nice and it's handy, but there's some weight to it. But another good option is this little hand pump. It's so light. If you have something to put it in or you have the capacity on your bike, bring something like that, okay, if you can. This one, we're going to opt not to take it, so we'll put it over in the other pile. Let's look at camping chairs. This one is a Woods stool. You know what? It's pretty comfortable. What did it take me? Half a second to set it up. You unfold the thing and you're done. So it's kind of nice, but it sure isn't very compact. Better for if you're camping with your truck or pulling a tent trailer or something like that. If you're doing different kind of camping, these are fine. Not really for moto-camping. So we're going to toss that over here. This is your classic camp chair, lawn chair. Everyone's got a half dozen of these in their garage probably. They're very comfortable. They're quick, they're easy, but they're sure not very compact. You want that sitting across your bike like that? Maybe it's not a big deal. If that's what you have, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no rules against that. But if you are going to be going through little bush trails and stuff, maybe that's going to be too much sticking out on your bike. You don't want to have that. Or you just want to opt for something more compact. I probably would. So we're not going to bring that one, but you know, nothing's out of the question. You can bring what you want. Okay, so I've got two of these little fellas. Ooh, I just swallowed a bug. They're not very heavy. They're very compact. You've probably seen them. I'm not going to set one up right now, but they have a little frame, and then the chair body goes around the frame. Whoever invented these deserves a trophy. These things are phenomenal, and I love them. But I don't need two, so we'll bring one. There's the mosquito. Okay, so we've got our camping chair. Let's talk about camping table. Okay, I've got two of them here. This one's Eclipse by Bass Pro Shop. It's got an aluminum frame. It's nice to have a little table. I like to have one. I do a little video editing after my camp set up, but it's not necessary. This one is the bigger of the two that I have. I've got a little smaller one here by Ozark Trail. You know what? For now, I like to have them. We're going to throw it over there. This one is going to go in the other pile. Okay, food prep. We're not going to talk about food. I don't care what kind of food you bring with you, or none. That's up to you. But we've got a few different items here that can be used to cook the food. This guy is a double burner propane stove that, I just took it out to show you the difference. This is not for moto camping, but if you have a tent trailer or something, you can bring that with you, and it's nice to cook on and does a great job. But for moto camping, we're taking it and we're throwing it in this pile. Two other great options if you are going to be out in the backwoods doing some of that type of moto camping. This is really all you need. It's a little fold out wood fueled stove that you can use sticks and leaves and whatever you find out there to get a little fire going, and you can boil your water and cook your rice and whatever you want. Okay, doesn't take up hardly any space, and it's nice and light. The key is maybe have it in some kind of little bag so it stays clean and doesn't mess up any of your other gear if it's going inside a dry bag with everything else. Okay, but that is an excellent choice. Another option, this is a little gas stove, and I'm sure you've seen these. This is one of the smaller ones you can get. It comes with a little igniter. You push the button and the gas ignites, has a little spark, and this guy folds out and you can put your pot or whatever you want on there. And you can boil your water and make a cup of coffee in the morning, or you can cook some oatmeal or whatever you like in your pot. So with a little stove like that, you need a fuel source. And that's the only downside to these. If you're going out for an extended stay, the longer you're going to be out, the more fuel you're going to bring with you. Unless you're only, if you're going in the backcountry, but you're kind of, most of the United States isn't very far from a Walmart. Canada's much the same, depending on where you go. But you can always stop at a camp store or a Walmart or something and get more fuel canisters if you need them. But that's the only drawback. You're limited to your fuel. If you're out back and you run out of fuel, you're kind of toast at that point. Any kind of little kitchen kit. This has a few things inside it. A little cup and a pan and a few things. You can boil water with that. You can cook on it. Cook a pancake or two, or bacon and eggs, whatever you want on that. Just fine. So you got your little cook stove, your fuel source, your cookware. Also in my little cook kit, I do keep a hand sanitizer. You could also throw a little similar sized container of dish soap in there if you wanted to. Maybe something biodegradable. If you are going to be washing your dishes in that creek beside your campsite, make sure it's I think Shackley and different companies make a nice biodegradable, environmentally friendly product. Something to clean your dishes with is pretty handy. A corkscrew, bottle opener, combo. I've got them laying around here. Knives. This is that's a great little knife. Looks like a mini hunting knife, but you can use it for cutting up potatoes too if you want. It's good to have a few knives around. Got a little paring knife for cutting up veggies or meat or cleaning the fish with. Utensils. I got a spork and a knife here. More knives. Here's a bigger hunting knife, and I like to have one major knife with me. This is a SOG knife out of Linwood, Washington. Anyway, this is a fantastic knife. It's great for, I don't want to say self-defense, because that's not an issue. It's never been an issue for me anywhere I've gone. But maybe if you if you have a bear or something coming at you, it's better than having nothing at all. We're not going to get into bear spray and pepper spray and guns and stuff. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, have a good knife or two. If you have other stuff you like to bring with you, God bless you. Bring them along. We're going to put that in the necessity pile, because if all you're doing is making a coffee in the morning, you still got to have a means to do that. This is where I throw my odds and ends and my flashlights and stuff. So I've got some little fire starter stuff in here. Again, depending on where you are, if I'm rolling into a campground, a KOA or something, I might buy a bundle of firewood, but now I have some kindling and some things to get it going with. I've got some waterproof matches and stuff in here. Flashlights, okay, I've got a couple of headlamps in here, a couple of little flashlights, one really good flashlight. It's a real nice one, and it's kind of my mainstay flashlight. You got to have a good light. I have my little bottle of Muskol bug repellent. I like this style because it's really compact. There's other ones. There's your spray cans. These are fine. You don't get your hands messy. But look at the size difference between this spray can and this little bottle of Muskol. And you know which one's going to last longer? This one. I don't mean last longer in terms of bug protection. They're both excellent. They're both Muskol. But last longer in terms of, this can might do me for 2 weeks or for a month. Depends on the level of bugs. This is going to last me for years. Bring one of them with you. If you need something that's more environmentally friendly, less toxic, if that's a concern, then again, look at Skin So Soft by Avon. Good stuff. The other ones, we're going to go into the don't need pile because I don't need to bring more than I need. Air pressure gauge for checking my bike tires. That's pretty handy. You need that. And don't forget to use it. You should really use that. And WD-40. You never know. You just never know. If nothing else, you can use it to help start your fire if things are a little bit wet. I'll throw this other knife in there too, because you can't have too many knives, really. I brought these out too. This is a bug hat. You throw the hat on, this just goes around, covers your face and neck and whatnot. That can be a lifesaver. It really can, especially up here in Canada. You want something. Now, my preference is this bug jacket. Okay, this is a well-used one. This is a good one. This one has a full net that goes over your head, your arms, your whole upper body. Does a great job. It's very lightweight. It's very compact. If I was to roll that up tight, you could fit it into your hand. kind of a no-brainer. If you have a spot, bring it with you. Nothing worse than setting up camp or taking down camp when the bugs are bad. Seriously, you don't want to be setting up tent when you're swatting mosquitoes and black flies. And good to have. Don't need the hat so much. We're going to throw that over there. I've got some other larger flashlights. These are great to keep in the house, not to take on your motorbike, okay? The big ones. Some people may opt to have a bow saw with them. If you see a deadfall, it's a great tool to cut it up with, but it's bulky. It's not heavy, but it's bulky. If you're taking that with you, you're going to want to have some kind of a blade guard on there. Some of them come with a blade guard. Mine's long gone. It's not something I'm going to take on my motorbike, but for some people, it's not out of the question. You might want to have that. I don't. It's going over here. But a hatchet, for me, is pretty darn handy. Find one that's fairly lightweight. This one is compact, but it's heavy. On the other hand, this little Gerber is more compact and much lighter. We're going to toss this little fellow over here. Oh, this one makes a great hammer. The Gerber is a really nice hatchet. Again, I already mentioned it's lightweight and compact. Bring a hatchet. If you're at a campground and you get a bundle of firewood, you want to cut it up a little smaller. What a great way to do that. And it's kind of part of the experience. You don't want to go camping without a hatchet, really. Anyway, that's going over there. I do like that. Umbrella, I'm going to say no. I'm not the kind of person that's bringing one of these on my motorbike. As soon as I don't bring it, it's going to rain every time I get off my bike, probably. Okay. This one's kind of fun to talk about. So, if you are backcountry camping, I'm not talking about staying at a campground because they have washrooms. If they don't have flush toilets, they have outhouses or something. I'm talking about backcountry camping where you're just finding a clear little spot in the bush, or you're making a clearing big enough for your tent. And you have to take a number 2. Okay? What do? Well, you can bag it if you want. And I'm not getting into different laws in different states and provinces and stuff. Maybe there's places you can't, you have to do something or you can't do another. If law is not a factor here, you want to be able to bury it, okay? So the easiest thing is to have a nice spade like this, and you can dig a hole real quick. And I don't want to put that on my bike. Are you kidding? That's way too big and bulky and heavy. That's not coming with me. I've got a couple other options here. This is, I don't know who makes that. It was probably originally military style, but it's a little compact folding shovel, spade. Pretty compact, whatever, pretty handy, but it's heavy. It's pretty heavy. It's not going to be my first choice, but if that's what you have, bring it. I'm tossing it over here. What I am going to bring is this. This is just a little garden spade. It's plastic. If I need to dig a hole and bury something, some treasure, whatever, I'm just going to use that, okay? Rinse it off in a creek or something maybe when you're done. I'd recommend that, probably. Okay, that's going over there. I've got a tarp. This one's it's not folded up real nice, but, these little tarps can get pretty small and compact. They're handier than heck. If you are a real hardcore, like I might have mentioned before, you take a rope and you string it between some trees, you set up your tarp, and you can camp under it. There's your tent. Now you've eliminated half the gear in this pile. If that's what you want to do, you go for that. But it's also handy just to have around. If it's a rainy night, anything that's not in your tent, you might want to put that over top. You might want to put that over your bike at night so you don't have to dry the dew off your seat in the morning. Whatever you like. Tarps are handy. They're light. They're compact. Let's talk about this stuff. Okay, this is a little booster pack. So it's got your little alligator clamps here you can hook up to a battery. Either you're boosting your own battery on your bike, or you're boosting somebody else who's in a pickle, okay? Pretty handy to have. Other than boosting a bike, if I'm going to be off grid for 2 or 3 days, I can charge my cell phone 2 or 3 times. Whether that's for music, whether I'm sitting there playing a stupid game at night, or looking at my navigation on my phone, or whatever the case may be. If you don't have a charging system on your bike, a lot of bikes do now, bring something like that to charge up your MP3 player, your GoPro, your helmet communicator, whatever you got. It's great. I am always bringing it with me. That's going to go in here. I've got a little telescopic ultralight fishing rod and reel. This thing's fantastic. And here's my tackle box. See how small that is? Yeah, I've got a big tackle box with all the rest of my tackle in it, but I can bring these two items. They hardly take up any space, and who doesn't want to go fishing if you have a chance to go fishing? Some creek or lake you've never fished before. Maybe it's a whole state or province you've never fished in before. Wouldn't you kick yourself if you didn't have a rod and reel? Maybe you're camping beside a lake and a fish jumps. Oh, aren't you going to want to have that? Anyway, that's going there in that pile. I've got a few motorcycle road maps. These might be off-road trail maps. They're a nice backup to have. Whatever, you can't use your phone, you lose your phone dies, it breaks. Some maps aren't a big issue, nice to have with you. If you're taking a shave in the morning, it might be nice to see what's going on there. So, a little mirror. Who's that fella? Holy jeez. This is a little battery-powered fan. It's not a necessity, but we'll throw it over there for now. A pair of real compact work gloves. If you have to work on your bike, if you're cutting up some firewood and it's pine or spruce is full of sap and you don't want to deal with getting that off your hands, you just don't want to get it on there. If you're dealing with burying some poop or whatever the case may be, you might want to have a pair of gloves around. I like this. This is a dustpan and broom. I like to have things kind of neat. I hate having a sandy floor in my tent. If you're really tight up for space, maybe you don't want that, but I'm taking that. A couple of extra dry bags. Oh, another flashlight. A little tripod. So pictures of scenery are all fine and dandy and they're beautiful and you can show people your trip. They don't want to see that. Pictures are way more interesting if you're in them. Take that or not take it. It's up to you, but I recommend it. Rope's handy. I've got a couple different ropes. This is just your basic nautical rope. This one is a nylon rope that I've got rigged up with carabiners, so you can stretch that around some trees. Throw it over there. This one we're not going to take. So as you can see, we've narrowed the piles down to the not taken and to the probably taken. All right, I just changed my angle a little bit. Now it's been said before, this is how you decide what to bring on your moto-camping trip. You have all your gear, you divide it into two piles, the obvious stuff you're not taking and the stuff you'd like to take. Now, we're going to take this pile of the good stuff and we're going to try to break it down again into stuff that we are going to take for sure and stuff that we probably don't need, okay? Because honestly, if you have a little enduro or an adventure bike or some kind of a smaller bike, you kind of have limited capacity of what you can bring. So a tent, nice small comfortable tent, we're bringing that for sure. We're bringing our sleeping bag, okay? Camp table, do we have to have that? Probably not. You can get away without it. Toss that over there. Air mattress, inflatable pillow. We don't need it. If you got a fairly good, like I could sleep on this lawn here in my tent with the sleeping bag. That would probably be okay. It's just if you're on a gravel pad or you got tree roots and stuff, it's nice to have, but it's not a necessity. You camp your first night and you can't sleep. It's miserable. Run to a Walmart and get one. For myself, I would bring this because I know I kind of need it. But for this video, it's not a necessity. We're going to toss it over here. If I'm tossing that, I can toss my pump. I love fishing. I really do. It's a lot of fun. But I can have a great trip and not have my fishing rod and tackle box. So, unless that's why you're going camping, then bring it. Take your shoes off before you get into your tent. You probably don't need that. Tarp is great. I'm not going to bring that either. You don't have to have it. Rope and clothesline. You don't need it. My packing cubes with the ability to cook, to start a fire, to have light, to have some protection against mosquitoes. I'm bringing these. I've got 2 dry bags here. I'll toss one. I'll bring one. And this one that I bring, I'll fill it with half of this stuff. And then it's one bag that I'm strapping to my bike. This guy doesn't take up much space at all. This little wood-fired one, I'm bringing him too, okay? My hatchet, yes, I'm bringing my hatchet. My little spade, some might say, well, screw that, I'm not going to bring it. I'm just going to, no, bring your spade, okay? Bring your spade. Selfie stick tripod, you don't have to have it. Charging kit booster pack. You can get a little one if you want something. If you have a 12-volt charger on your bike, charge your stuff as you're driving. If you can eliminate that. Kind of breaks my heart to eliminate it because I do like to have it. I got lots of electronic stuff, but we don't need it. Camping chair. If you're always going to a campground, you're going to have a picnic table. But if you're doing any backcountry stuff, bring your camping chair. I'm calling this a necessity because honestly, I've done enough moto-camping. It's a necessity. You got to be able to relax. This can do all that for you, okay? Bring that. Paper maps, bring them. It's no big deal. They don't take up any room. Better than not having them and needing them. Little fan, don't need it. Work gloves, don't really need them. Bug net, only because it's compact, doesn't take up any room, slips in a dry bag. You never know it's there. I'm bringing it. Okay, so this little bit of gear, we've got this big pile down to one little small pile of stuff that we need. Look at this. Look at this. When we bring it down, tent, sleeping bag, packing cubes, camp chair, and a few odds and ends that we need. Look at that little pile. Isn't that great? Okay, so as you can see here, we've gone from all this gear. This was the first elimination pile. This is the second elimination pile. And that's what we're bringing, folks, right there. And, okay, you're adding your clothes and you're adding, maybe your instant coffee can go into one of these kits and you might bring a little container with a bit of food in it, whatever. If you got a big bike or you're carrying a trailer, you can bring a cooler with ice and cold beer and whatever else you want. But this gets you out there, gets you moto camping, and you're not lugging around unnecessary gear. Your bike is still light, it's stable, and you've got the necessities to survive out there and have a good time. Hopefully this helps you in some small way to get out there, improve your experience, and have a great time. You're probably going to want to subscribe. I've got another video coming up that's going to talk about an upcoming trip. I'm heading out to the Badlands, South Dakota, to the Black Hills, up into Yellowstone, through Montana, up into Alberta. We're going to check out Waterton Lakes Provincial Park in Alberta. It's gorgeous. Maybe Glacier National Park on the way back down through Montana and Wyoming. And we're going to see lots of great stuff. You don't want to miss it. So hit the subscribe button, please. As always, keep your stick on the ice. Keep the rubber side down. You will. Have a great day. Bye for now.